Welcome to Two Mothers, One Aché, a grief dialogue. I'm Dionne.
And I'm Yvette. We're mothers, friends, and sisters in grief.
I lost my daughter, Siwe, at 15 years old.
And I lost my son, Dasan, at 26.
This podcast is our space to talk about grief, how it shapes us, how it lingers, and how love carries us through. Welcome to the conversation.
Hey, Dionne, there's three of us on the screen right now.
I know. We're in triplicate. How you doing, bud?
I'm doing good, ladies. Thank you so much for having me today.
I was so honored when I listened to the intro and then you offered yourself up. I was like, I love that and I appreciate it.
Yeah, we love that on multiple levels, Bun. I'm going to explain to you a couple of them, right? Okay. When I pitched Merrick this podcast, being that I'm a music industry veteran, they were hoping that my default would be that I would bring in my music industry colleagues and friends. And I was really, really adamant that this subject matter is much broader than celebrity. And although we can get the message out quicker and faster through celebrity, it was really important to both Dionne and I that we we bring this community together from a cellular level, and so it can incorporate everyone. So I'm very extremely pleased that you offered yourself up as our first celebrity guest, because that meant that you're coming in here with a full and open heart, ready to be transparent, ready to share, and ready to come into our kitchen table and sit down and have a really nice conversation with us. So thank you.
No, you're more than welcome. I offered myself up, one, because I have a very public relationship with grief, consciously and purposely. But also because I would hope, as we go down this path with this podcast and with Merrick, that other people see someone who was not afraid of being vulnerable
That part.
publicly. You know what I'm saying? So I'm offering myself today as a testimony to transparency.
Give thanks and praise. Well, you know what? We know who you are, and everybody may not know who you are. So we're going to chat a little bit and give you your flowers, and then we'll dive in.
No worries.
I'm going to give it to you first, Evie.
So this episode, we're going to explore grief through the lens of hip hop, my personal favorite, brotherhood and legacy. Our guest, Bun B, the incredible, multifaceted Bun B, opens up about the loss of his partner and friend and brother, Pimp C, and the ongoing work of changing the grief narrative for Black men, for artists, and for our communities. If you're listening, this may bring up some emotions for you. It's okay to take a pause. It's okay to breathe. It's okay to cry. Grief is a personal journey. It is also communal, and it deserves its space, a safe space.
Let me tell you, Yvette, girl, grief deserves space, but it's going to take it whether you think it deserves it or not. It's going to show up. But I'm not even going to go there right now. Bun, one of the things that we do when we start, just to invite you into that and all of our community and listeners at home, we take a moment and breathe together. We really want to acknowledge the breath of life and the importance of it. So wherever you are, and of course, our listeners at home, if you're driving, you keep your eyes open. But if you're able to close your eyes, I tend to like one hand on my heart and one hand on my belly, and just take a really deep breath in and a slow breath out. Adding a little energy to that, really expand your heart and feel like all the love of everyone you know and have loved is filling your heart. And then share that same love out into the community that they would want us to experience and share. So we're inhaling love and exhaling love. That way you can send it to a person, a place, a loved one. Because my energy today, I'm so excited to be here, but we need more love. And that's what I'm breathing into the space. I'll be quiet. One more breath in. And a gentle sigh out.
That
That made
works
me
for us
feel
every
better.
single time, Bun. I hope it worked for you.
Absolutely.
It did. It did. So I am honored to introduce you, Bun. So, listeners at home, our guest, Bun B, is a Grammy nominated rapper, educator, cultural icon, best known as one half of the legendary Southern hip hop duo UGK. Widely regarded as Houston's ambassador, he's also a professor, community leader, and a culinary entrepreneur behind the nationally acclaimed Trill Burgers brand. Now, in addition to his creative and civic influence, Bun is a proud partner of Merrick Studios, and which is the home of Two Mothers, One Aché. Bun, we are proudly, profoundly grateful for the belief in the partners of Merrick Studios and all the love y'all have shown us and the unwavering support from the entire team who helped to make this work possible. Thank you, thank you, thank you, and welcome.
You're more than welcome. Thank you guys so much for that.
So when we think of you, Bun, we think of your legacy with UGK, two men who defined hip hop, Southern hip hop. And you have been able to transcend that energy across the globe. But legacy, in your case, comes with loss. That's part of your legacy. Can you take us back to that moment and what it meant to lose Pimp, to lose your brother, and how you've carried that grief over the years?
It was very early in the morning, like before the sun had risen, and I had gotten a call from a good friend of mine who had gotten a call himself from a good friend of ours by the name of Albie. And Albie had called Michael and told Michael that he had saw on I want to say Black Planet, but it was some sort of space primarily for Black interaction. And someone had said on that social media platform that Pimp C had passed away. They were at the hotel and then Pimp C had passed away. And so he wasn't sure if it was true. So he called our friend. That friend called me. And when he told me that, I said, I'll call you right back. And I called his mother because he was the only child of an only child. So the relationship between those three was extremely tight, extremely tight. And I knew personally, having been around him for so many years, that he called his mother every night. And so I called his mom and I asked him, had she talked to him? And she said, Bunny, that's funny because he didn't call me last night. And that's when I knew something was wrong. That's when I knew something was wrong. Before I had had it confirmed, I knew something was up because there was no reason why he wouldn't call his mother. He didn't put anything past that relationship. Obviously, his relationship with his children were very unique. But that's when I knew something was afoot, something was wrong. And she said, I'll call you back. And she didn't call back for about maybe 15, 20 minutes or so. And when she did, it was like, he's gone. She was hit. I wouldn't say hysterical, but she was definitely overcome with emotion. And she was like, he's gone, Bunny, he's gone. And I didn't really know how to register it in the moment. So I went to my wife and I told my wife, and my wife burst into tears, which immediately set me off. But then in the midst of that, I wanted to call our closest friends because I didn't want them to hear it secondhand.
Oh, goodness. I can
Every
feel that.
time I tried to call, just overcome, just overcome. And it was really, really rough. And then later on in the day, it became a public situation. And so I was like, the radio station was talking about it, and I decided to call the radio station. And I called in the midst of all of that, knowing I would be emotional because I didn't want Black men to think that they couldn't grieve publicly.
That's right. That's right.
And in the midst of my pain, I knew it was important to share that I wasn't afraid to show I was in pain and to show that I was grieving and to show that I lost someone that I love. Because I come from the inner cities. I come from communities where you have to be careful about how vulnerable you present yourself
Mm-hmm.
to your contemporaries,
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of times that vulnerability can be seen as weakness, and if not weakness, at least something that could be potentially advantageous against you. And I didn't fear that. In that moment, I didn't fear that. I thought it was important because of how I was seen to not be stoic, to not try to pretend that I was okay. Um, I was not. Um, and I felt it was okay to let people know that I was not okay in the moment, that I had lost someone I cared about, and to just send a message to people. I remember,
Bun, I'm gonna take a breath. Take a breath, baby.
I'm okay. It's
All
okay.
right.
I was in Los Angeles the day that Tupac died.
Mm,
I was on promo in Los Angeles,
mm,
and I remember hearing Daz call in, grieving, publicly crying, calling for peace, and all of these things in the moment of this, because of everyone that was at death row, outside of the outlaws and all of that. No one had worked more with Tupac than Daz.
Mm.
A lot of the things that we heard Daz perform on, Tupac perform on, most of them were produced by Daz.
yeah.
And I was with Method Man, who was one of the few people who had actually recorded with Tupac that wasn't from the West Coast. And we were so happy to see each other. We were both on. They were there for Richie Rich had just got signed to Def Jam, and a lot of the East Coast people were in town to celebrate his album release, and we just happened to be staying at the same hotel, so we both went out into the van. We were smoking weed, hanging out, getting to know each other personally because we'd never met, and then this came on over the radio, and then everyone just kind of overcome with grief, and the meth excused himself, and it was just a very dark time. And I remember that moment. And when it happened, I consciously called the radio station to let this. I thought maybe by sharing it with the public, it would make it easier for me. Um, I was. It made it easier for other people. Maybe it did not make it easier for me. Over the next couple of days, I got a lot of outpouring from contemporaries. The one that hit me the hardest was, I don't even know how he got my number, but my phone rang and it was the RZA.
Mhm,
And he just talked about dealing with Old Dirty
mhm,
passing, because
mhm.
they were cousins, and
Yeah.
he just talked to me.
Mm-hmm.
He just
Mm.
talked to me. And again, to this day, and I've met him, and after that, but he would never disclose how he got my number.
Mhm,
He was just like, I just saw somebody in need, and I reached out to somebody, and they just happened to have your math, and I was like, let me hit this brother.
mhm,
You
But
covered so many things in that story, Bun, talking about the closeness of the mother, you holding it together until your wife broke down, all these connections, not only in the industry, but between men and women, between mothers and sons, between brothers and brothers, you know, y'all hanging and keeping it real, and just your men, and you calling the radio station as a man, as a brother, grieving to say, like, we're human. Because there's this aspect of you for so long and so many people in the industry, and both of you know more about that, way, way more than I do, that, they're somehow removed from humanity, and you
mhm.
tapping into and honoring your humanity. Thank you.
I just wanted to knock that wall down in that moment because I didn't want to
Yeah.
be alone in that moment. And if I'd allowed the wall to still be there, instead of isolating other people, I would have isolated myself from allowing other people to share their love and their concern for me, their care for my brother and everyone else. Obviously, you know, a lot of us felt like, you know, let's all get through this now because we've got to hold her up at that
Mm.
moment. Um,
Mm.
Yeah. You know,
but she
that,
had always been. Now, I just want to say this. I'm sorry, Eva.
no,
She
it's
had
okay.
always been a den mother to us, and so we felt the responsibility to hold her up. Yet during the services, we were the ones that broke down, and she was the one that would hold us. But
Mm.
I will say, when he was put in the ground, she did not take that well. He was her only child, and
Well,
that was a
Deanna and I
very, very
understand that
hard thing.
pain.
That was
Deanna
a
and I
very hard
understand
thing to
that.
watch for her.
Yeah.
Mm. 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 Mm.
We we are her, we know her, we understand that pain and what she went through in that exact moment. You know, I kind of want to bring it back a little bit because you said something that was really important. And it's a continuing thread, it's a continuing theme for Dion and I in this podcast, in this community, is allowing ourselves to open up to that community, is allowing us. You said you did not want to be alone in that moment, but the nature of what you do for a living in the music business as a celebrity isolates you. Then grief isolates you even
Mm.
further. And so it took an extreme amount of strength, not performative strength,
That's
real
right.
strength, to say, I'm going to open this up so people can walk through and I will receive them.
Well,
You
I
know,
wasn't the only one that missed him. Sorry, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I wasn't the only
it's
one
okay.
that missed him,
Yeah.
and
Of course.
I had to make a conscious decision to walk through this as Bun B or Bernard Freeman.
Mm,
Now, the
there you go.
realization was that once I had torn that wall down and made that distinction, that I would probably never go back.
Hmm. Mm.
Like once Superman reveals he's Clark Kent, you can't really go back, right?
Well,
And I don't mean
yeah.
that in that way, but once the guy that's in the costume is taken off the costume, right? And allow his actual self to be seen, and to I felt it was necessary to not only show it but to humanize it.
Yes. Yes.
1000%. And also, I mean, we're talking about characters now, right? Bun B is your image, your character. Pimp C is your duo, Batman Robin. That is your other half. That's the other half of your imaging. And now that other half has been lost.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You
And then
lost
I
that.
lost
And
my identity.
that's right. At least half of your identity. So this other half, Bernard needed to come out and be and exist.
It did, because there was I want to make sure I phrase this right. Everything about Bun B worked in a particular space
Mm.
as an artist to the public. And it was a certain dynamic that presented itself with that. In order to share what I was going through publicly, I would have to tear that down, right? Like, I'm tough, I don't care, I can get through whatever, I've been through it all. I had to expose that, even though that had been true, I hadn't been through this with this
Mm.
person. Had I lost people before? Absolutely. I lost family members. I lost very close friends. I lost classmates. I lost all of that. But none of those people had this very singular, distinct relationship that Chad and I had. Because what we went through, only we went through.
Mm.
And if you're not a recording artist and navigating the nuances of that industry, you don't really understand what people go through. And so having those kind of conversations with people that are somewhat isolated from that world, it leaves you almost alone anyway, because you can't really share some of these. I could talk to you and you can listen, right? But
Yeah.
I don't know if you have any real entry point into what I'm going through. So that's kind of what we relied on each other for. There was always times where he would get frustrated and things weren't working out and things weren't paying off as we would hope they would. And I would keep him encouraged, and vice versa. There would be times where I would want to quit and go in a different way, and he was like, "No, don't stop now. We right there. Let's stick with it." And then when that happened, when he passed away, I don't want to say when that happened. When he passed away, I want to make sure to say these things. It's very important to say these things.
It is.
Um, I didn't have in my mind that person to talk to about what that loss was. It was very hard for people to really understand that I had not just lost a friend, a brother, a collaborator, but I had literally lost, for the majority of my adult life, my life partner, like the person that I was going through things with in that way. Um, and so I went into a very deep and dark depression. I leaned on alcohol heavily, heavily. Um, I remember distinctly getting into an argument with my wife, looking for a reason to get out of the car. I got out of the car and I walked I planned the argument in a certain way so that I wouldn't be far from the liquor store.
Mm.
Went to the liquor store, got a fifth of Hennessy, and just started walking. And one of her close friends found me, I would say, which sounds crazy now, maybe 6 miles away from where I got out of the car. Like I had just been walking and drinking with a fifth of liquor, and no one, no police officer, no one anyway, but a friend of my wife's saw me on just this random back street and got out of the car, and I started arguing with her, trying to fight her. I punched a train. I broke three knuckles. And I was just in a very, very, very bad place. And a friend of my wife's encouraged her to encourage me to go to the church she was a member of.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to that church, and like everyone says, when you go to church, you feel like the message is for you that one day if you haven't been in a while.
That's right.
But if you're in the right church house, every message is for you every time you go to church. Um, but I went and it really struck me, and I gave my life back to Christ. I had been baptized as a child, but I got reconnected through Christ. I'm still a member of this church. This is the primary vessel that I sow back into the community with, but it's also somewhere where I can go for guidance, somewhere that I can be open and transparent with my emotions. It's a very safe space for me. And again, if you're with the right church, with the right pastor, it's a safe space for anyone that's willing to come in and open up about what they're going through. I don't want to get too hard into Christianity or any of that thing, because grief for many people transcends all that. Grief is the kind of thing that if you don't have a connection with God, it will reconnect you
Mm-hmm.
if that's what your need is in that
Definitely.
moment.
That part.
Definitely.
That part.
Definitely.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm so glad that I was brought not just to a church, but specifically to this church, because it was already very active in the community. And that became a part of my cathartic recovery,
Mm.
was to put life in perspective, right? Not just grief, right? Because grief is what it is, but I'm still alive. So I've got to put my life back into perspective.
Come
And
on
so
now.
I look at my loss, and though my loss is what it is, everyone's losses is what it is. But I took the road of helping others. I took the road of looking at life and what it had given me, not what it had taken
Mhm.
from me. Because I was stuck there. And then we helped people during this holiday. We helped them through that holiday. We just started helping people, and the more I engaged with people where they were, meeting them where they were in that moment, I didn't really have time to feel sorry for myself. I
Mhm.
Mm.
didn't
Mm.
really have time to wallow in what I was dealing with.
Mhm.
You have
And
said
so
so much
that
more.
when so
Yeah.
so when I get in those moments, I just I go out. Now I have the beauty of having a restaurant where people come in and they lift me up. My employees, they do such a great job, and I have other things to be grateful for. And it it takes my mind off of going into that void.
Mm-hmm.
And that to me is extremely important because
Yeah.
I realize I'm still working through this in a way
Forever.
that
Forever, Bun.
will never leave.
No,
And
it won't.
it's so funny because you get to that moment where you think, oh, I'm good today or everything. And then because I interact with so many people publicly, it always becomes someone. It's very hard for people to see me and not think of Pimp
Mm,
and not
Mhm.
mention him
mm.
and
Mhm.
share with me how much they miss him, how much they loved him, how much they appreciated him.
But how beautiful
And
are those love notes, though?
no, and it's
How
all,
wonderful is that to hear his name, to understand his impact that he had on others, and that you're the recipient of those love notes.
Yeah.
and it's hard because I mean, survivor's remorse,
Hmm.
it's an understatement.
That's
Because
right.
I've been remorseful about football game outcomes, right? But it's
But
hard.
that's a good one. But Bun, you have unpacked so much. I'm going to interject because you've covered so much in terms
Yeah.
of our relationship to self. And I'm literally sitting here writing down things based on what you said to come back to and unpack. So when you're talking about the denial, and because you paused yourself when I was like, I have to say this, that he passed away. So even because we talk about that, no matter how many years, I'm a 14 years out with the death of my daughter, and I still have to be like, she's gone, right? She died. So if we don't say out loud that they have gone, they've transitioned, then we live in denial. And then you also said, and not in your exact words, that action is the cure. When you were looking for something to do, the first thing you leaned into was substance. And we talked about that a lot because we have that in our family and alcoholism specifically. But
Mhm.
then you replaced it with service. But so what I sum that up is, what you said in all those words is that action is the cure. You could replace it with something that's going to harm you, or you could make the action something that will help you and the community. And you
Yeah.
created yourself and your grief as a gift to transform in community with community, is what I
That's
heard
right.
you say.
That's
No,
right.
absolutely, absolutely. These people consistently lift me up. I'm forever grateful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think
I
they
also
recognize
heard
it.
I heard every single step of grief. We talked about in an earlier episode, we talked about the stages of grief. I heard everything. I heard
Yes.
denial, anger, I heard depression, right? I heard bargaining,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and I also heard acceptance.
Acceptance.
Oh
Acceptance.
my God. Such a beautiful journey. Such a beautiful grief journey.
And the
And
spiritual
uh,
aspect of it.
that's right. And we talked about that too, and how
Mhm.
important it is to step into, whatever it is, your spirituality. I know that you say you don't want to make it a Christian thing, and that's perfectly fine, because God is God. Whatever name you call God,
Yeah.
however it is that you worship, all paths lead there. And
But
you found your path.
I just don't want people to assume that because my journey with Christianity has made my grief walk easier, because that might not be a path to that for other people.
Mm-hmm.
That's
You're right.
that's right. That's
I
right.
taught a class on hip hop and religion, and the big part about it, the big part that we tried to get to about it is that religion doesn't do the same thing for every practitioner.
Mm-hmm.
And how people are presented with religion and who presents it can sometimes be an issue too.
Honey.
Right? So if we take away religion, which is really built around practices, right? If you're a Catholic, you have your sets of practice. If you're a Baptist, if you're a Muslim, your religional your relation to religion is built around the practices and how consistent you are with them. But for some people, if they've grown up in Christianity, they've seen issues with Christianity, growing up, with prophet pastors and whatnot, Catholicism, Judaism. There are people who have seen all of these different religions practiced incorrectly or
Mm-hmm.
irresponsibly. And because of that, they cannot connect. So in that space, we offer that whatever it is that makes you want to contribute to society, whatever it is that makes you want to be a better person, whatever it is that makes you want to continue to build lasting foundational relationships with your fellow humans, that's your religion. And for
Mm-hmm.
some people, hip hop as a
Yes.
culture is what makes them want to be closer to people,
That's right.
more contributive to society. I tell people all the time, we typically pick our friends by the music we listen to and the religions we practice,
Mm-hmm.
because that's typically where we make our first bonds. Religion is something that's presented to us through our family, and that's a way that we bond and connect with our family. But music is where we go out in the world and find like-minded people.
Mm.
Come on
And
Mm.
it's
now.
typically you go somewhere and you're at a club or a party or a concert, and a song will come on and you realize, oh, that's my jam. And then you see someone close to you and you can tell that's their jam too. This person is probably my kind of person.
That's
And
community. That's
you know what
right.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so that's been the beauty of my journey, is the fact that hip hop has always been available to me. It's a place where I honestly found myself going into my adulthood, and it's a refuge. It's
Mm.
been a refuge for me. The music that I loved growing up listening to, I still connect to it. The artists that made that music, I still connect with them, and I find comfort. I
Mm.
find comfort in it, in hip hop.
Yeah.
And a lot of our mutual friends are still contributive in that culture, and we see them all the time. And I talk about Pimp with people all the time.
You got to say their
It's
name. You got to say his name,
You
and you
have to
better
say
keep
yeah,
his
saying
name.
his name.
That's right.
That's how they
my
stay alive.
my life is forever connected with him,
Yeah,
That's right.
and that's
That's
not a
right.
bad thing. That's in the best way.
absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
and so I am proud to carry on his name. I'm proud to share his legacy. And publicly, I'm pretty good with it, but it's those solemn moments alone of reflection where I don't have to
Mhm.
be the strong little guy or whatever. I can
That's right.
go ahead and let it go. I feel very comfortable with you two.
Mm.
We share the same journey, and so because of that, yeah, go ahead and cry. Go ahead and let that out.
That's right.
These are the people to do this with. This
Aché.
is the space to do this in. You
Aché.
know what I'm saying? So I feel it's important for me as an elder, more than anything, as an
Mm.
elder,
Talk about it.
to talk about these things publicly, to profess what I'm going through publicly, and to let people see it in a moment, and just let people know, man, if the OG can do it, you know what I'm saying? Why am I fighting it?
Yeah.
Because everything else the OG has done has led to a better version of him. That's all I want to do, is help people become a better version of themselves. And if grief and pain and loss is what's holding you back, the people that you are grieving for are hurting for you.
Mm.
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 They
Mm.
want you to grow through this. You know
That's
what I'm
right.
saying? And I'm constantly reminded that as much as I miss him, it couldn't even come close to how his children miss him.
Mm. When,
His father is still alive, first cousins and things of that nature from his father's side, because again, his mother was an only child. But that tempers me. And that makes me realize, like, it's okay to miss him, but don't think that his passing is yours alone.
mm. Mm.
Like,
Yeah,
that was
we
something that
never.
I had to realize. Like, you're not the only person that loved him. You're
That's
not the
right.
only person that misses him.
But there's a
And
beauty
I,
in sharing your pain.
Yeah.
well,
There's beauty.
I had to realize that I'm probably, for many people, a trigger,
Mm-hmm.
Mm. Mm. You.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh. Now that one, what you just
Come
said.
on now. Yes.
because he's a public figure. And again, the public mourns him and grieves him like I do. So
Yeah.
sometimes when people see me, all they can think of, oh, wow, that's Bun B, that's Bun B. But other times when people see me, all they can think about is, man, I miss Pimp. Like,
Right.
and they want to share that with me. And I allow that,
Yeah.
you know? Like, man, I miss Pimp. I bet you wish he was here and all of that. And yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. You're damn right. I absolutely do. Just like you. We have that. I don't,
That's right.
I don't deny people that moment. I embrace that moment. And it gives me a larger community.
Yeah.
Every
Yes,
time
it
I
does.
allow these people to grieve through me, I basically expand my community.
Yeah.
That's right.
And we'll be right back.
Welcome to Merrick Studios, where stories take the mic and culture comes alive.
We're not just a network, we're a family, bringing you smart, soulful, unfiltered conversations.
And this season, we're bringing the heat with our biggest lineup yet. Whatever you're into, music, sports, business, we got you covered.
Merrick Studios, where the conversation starts and keeps going.
Check out our full lineup, including Unglossy with Bun B, Jeffrey Sledge, and myself, Tom Frank. Now streaming at wearemerrickstudios.com.
Master the art of lyricism with Pendulum Mink, the first school for rap. Learn elite techniques through immersive lessons, real-world exercises, and guidance from hip-hop icons. This is where MCs sharpen their skills and glow boldly on the mic. Ready to level up? Visit pendulummink.com and start your journey today.
And now, back to the show.
I have a great story to just add on to expanding your community. When my son was in the hospital, he was on life support for 8 days, and it was very difficult for me to, only a few people knew, right? Like only very few people knew what I was going through. I didn't know what was happening. And in the moment, I still believed that there was going to be a miracle, that he was going to come out of the other side of it. I didn't care what condition he was going to be in coming on the other side of it. And so I was carrying this. Now, I'm not a public figure in the magnitude that you are, Bun, right?
Mhm.
So, but I work with many celebrities and I'm in the circle. I'm in the inner circle.
Mhm.
So
Right.
I have a large network. And so my friend Tyrese called to check on me. And I was in the parking lot of a Starbucks and I'm just like crying. I don't know what to do. I want people to help me pray for a miracle, is what I told him. And he
Mhm.
said, take it to Instagram. I'm going to push it out too. Watch what happens. You're going to get your prayer warriors are going to jump in. Do it. And I was like, I feel so vulnerable doing that. I don't want to do that. So I can only imagine for you, it's like 100 times more than that. But I did it. I put a post together and all I did was ask people for prayers.
Yes.
And
Yes.
the prayers came pouring in. And then every day I felt the responsibility to give everyone an
An
update.
update. An update.
This
Yep.
is what's going on. Stay with me. Oh, I opened the door. Stay with me. You guys are carrying me through this. You know, like and I opened up completely my vulnerability and allowed it to just pour in. And so in creating that community, to your point, you're receiving healing, you're giving people healing, and it we shouldn't be doing this alone, is really my point.
Period. Well, the other part that Bun said, all right, we talk about you like you're not here, Bun. But the other part
Go for it.
the other part that he said is that he is using community and practicing faith and leaning into each other for support and allowing himself to be supported, but doing it all. He was very aware. You were very aware, Bun, of being responsible. You acknowledge that some people do these things irresponsibly. And we've seen that, like even when we were talking about faith and religion, how there are people is like, well, I used to call the poverty pimps. Like you're taking advantage of people's sorrow. You're taking advantage, you're trying to exploit all of that and exploit community. And what I see and hear in you is that you're using community to uplift and being the OG that you're mentoring. Like, I'm really curious. I wish I was in the hip hop and religion class because I want to hear how you were sharing knowledge with people to help them see and to help these young minds grow. Because you're a mentor. You're mentoring people seen and unseen. Because there are people that are listening to you that you don't even see. And they're being inspired by you and your story, by your walk and your talk. Same with you, Yvette. I was holding, because I remember the IG, because, I was one of the people praying and posting it out for Dasan. And my journey, I'm not even going to go into my journey, but I just lit a blog post and went and hid. So you stayed out there. I did one blog post and was like, I'm going to go under the bed, under the covers for a while until I can come back.
Exactly. Exactly. You know, Bun, I tell you, this episode is so divine to me. It's so purposeful. It's so steeped in purpose that you've actually, Dionne and I, folks can't see this, but we have our notes, and you've actually preceded our notes. Like you hit everything in sequence too, on how we've been wanting to lay out this episode and all the things that we want to like pull out of you. You've just been offering it. And so, I truly believe in the power of spirit and how it moves us. And this is just, it's like, listen, I'm experiencing it in the first person, but it's very exciting to watch.
Look, let's be very clear. When I was approached, along with Jeff and Tom, about considering this podcast for the network, I not only thought it was necessary, but I thought it was absolutely not necessary in terms of having you as a part of the network. I thought that was absolutely necessary. But I was like, I probably need these women. Like, it's one thing, like, look, from a financial standpoint, offering myself up to the podcast, to any podcast coming to the network, lends itself to being a tad bit more successful, right? That was not the frame of mind about this. I realized that I've never had any real therapy about this. I've never sat down with a psychiatrist, and obviously my pastor has helped me extremely. Walter Argus has extremely helped me on this journey. But I never really sat down and talked about this in like a structural, professional way. You know what I'm saying? And I have the beauty of having two people walk me through this instead of one. But I thought this was necessary for me. And I hope that by being open to this conversation and open to knowing that I'm not fully healed. And I don't know if anyone dealing with grief is ever fully healed.
The answer's no. The answer's no.
People will be like, I'm like, when do you miss, like, when you hear your old songs, do you miss Pimp? I'm like, yeah, but that's not what triggers me. Like, I'm used to hearing my music. I'm used to hearing his voice, but that's not triggering to me. I said the things that trigger me are when I see his children, when I see cars he used to have, or a car that I know he would want. That's what sets me off. I'm like, man, if he
How
could have
about
lived
that?
long enough to have this
Unlived
car.
life. It's the life cut short. It's what could have happened. It's what could have been.
Yes, what
It's
should
that.
have been. I have to keep
What
telling
should have
myself.
been.
But
You know
isn't
what I'm
that
saying?
point? I mean, I don't know, Evie, Bun, y'all tell me, because this is what still happens to me. I'll see something, I'll hear something, and I want to pick up the phone. And I'm like, oh.
There's nobody. You'll see something that only you and that person shared, and there's no one else to call and talk about it.
You're at that point again. So what we're acknowledging and saying, and thank you for your kind words, Bun. We are constantly, so as you said, being an open book. As long as you continue to be an open book and allow spirit to move through you, you are actively participating not only in grieving, but healing. And that's what this podcast is for Evie and I. That's what it is as we support clients off screen. And if we record, when we're doing these recordings, we done had 17 other conversations throughout the week where our heart is hurting. Our heart is hurting. You know, when we look at the pictures, and different than two of y'all, I'll share at another point. I'll send it to you in email or whatever. But my daughter's friends don't like being around me because they look at me, especially her last boyfriend. He looks at me. He's like, oh, Miss Dionne. He closes his eyes and he looks away and he just looks at me because we looked alike. So her friends look at me and they're like, So it's, as you said, Bun, actively, like, you activate grief for other people, but then we get to bring them in and share the love that we experience and share a memory and then flip it to the joy, talk about something silly. One of my, things I'm always going to lean into being silly and humor. I was like, yeah, I miss her, but she was a pain in the ass and she didn't clean her room and do her laundry, but find something about, you gonna tell me, it was like, you know what? Pimp still owed me money. He was supposed to pay me on that. He still owed me.
Right.
Exactly. I love telling those stories of the song. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pimp, One of the important things that this is a very important question that I want to ask you, because you were very adamant in the introduction of our podcast on Glossy that the narrative around grief needs to be changed. I want to know, what does that mean for you exactly?
It's not about being sad all the time, quite honestly. Don't like, we've got a full life ahead of us. They would want us to live that life to the fullest. They wouldn't want us to forget them, obviously, but they wouldn't want us to linger in that.
Mm.
They would want single person would want you to, go find love again. Go make yourself available for love, right? Don't chase it, but leave yourself open to new things and new people. I think he would be extremely proud of me becoming a businessman, because I was very, very, I made enough money to do what I wanted to do. So I never had real aspirations for more money. But then I fell in love, and then, we got married, and there's a family, and there's grandchildren. And so now I'm glad I didn't wait until now to try to figure this stuff out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad that I gave certain things a chance and an opportunity, and I wasn't afraid of it, because if I had chosen to stay in a bubble, people would have given me that. That's the thing about it.
That's right.
Like, if I would have wanted to detach from society and detach from certain things I like to do and deny interactions with certain people, I think, quite frankly, people would have given me what they would have assumed to be grace to mourn in the way that I choose to. And I watched his wife go through that. I watched his wife go through a lot of. They were in a very weird place when he passed.
Mm.
I'm I'm one of the few people that had closure.
Mm.
Everyone else was left with an open book. Don't get me wrong, I was left with an open book as well. But we were having our differences, and he called me, we talked through it, and I don't want to get too deep into what was said. But the last things that were said was that I love you, and he said I love you too. And the mother never got that. The wife, so many people didn't get that closure. And
Mm.
because of it, that story to them is still open
Mm.
in a
Mm.
way. And that doesn't allow them to, I don't want to say close the book on his passing. I don't want to frame it in that way. But
It's acceptance. It's that final stage.
it's not just that though. It's not about the acceptance. It's about not feeling responsible, or at the least culpable, or it was just a weird time for them. And she wasn't with him when he passed. And she doesn't get that closure. There's so many things she wished she had said. And many of us wish they had said, quite frankly. And I'm one of the few that actually got to get everything out
Yeah.
and allow him to get everything that he felt out.
I
And then
understand.
end that conversation with, I love you.
Mm.
And I know so many people who didn't get that,
Thank
not just
Bun.
from him, but in general.
Yeah.
You are right, Bun. And to what you said about, being professional, one of the things, so for the listeners at home, thank you. If you've needed to pause, come back. You want to listen to this again, because there's so much richness in this. But what I will say to you is what you just said. Getting closure can be right now, today, as my good friend said, on today, to get a pen and paper and literally write a letter to your loved one. Say the things that you didn't get to say and read them. Because what you just reminded me of, Bun, is that, again, my baby only passed at 15 years of age,
My goodness.
because she had been dancing and wanting to leave and end her life for so long. It forced me to have every conversation. And
Mm.
someone did a healing circle for me. I think I told you about it, Yvette. Someone did a healing circle for me, Yvette, Bun, after my daughter died. And they came to my house where I am now, and they sat around. It was a bunch of sisters in a circle, and they wanted us to speak and say the things to someone we loved that was no longer here. And I sat there and I cried, and they all thought I felt bad because I had something, but I was at peace that I had nothing to say to my daughter. So I did get that closure that you had, Bun. It was my grandmother. My grandmother had passed in St. Thomas, and I'd seen her the month before, but she just went to sleep and died, and I hadn't spoken to her that week. And it was like,
Wow.
always calling, I didn't speak to her. So it wasn't my child, it was my grandmother that had passed. And I was like, I never got to finish talking to her. I didn't get that recipe. I didn't learn, that thing from her. So that's the task. And I'm going to give you a minute, Evie, we have one more question for you, Bun. But I want to tell the listeners, write the letter. Write the letter to your loved ones. Speak it to them. If you have their ashes, our babies were cremated, so we have them at home with us. Put it with them. Talk to that person because our ancestors are with us.
That's right.
Pimp, Dasan, Seaway, they're with us. They're listening. When you said he's proud of you, I'm like, yeah, he is. He's fist bumping you. He's like, whatever your thing was, he's doing that, because my daughter's thing was a little shoulder. She'd be like, mommy, little shoulder. She'd be like, I'm like, yeah, girl, I did that. I did that. You right. I did. But
I love what you're saying though, Dee, and I just want to push the issue a little bit more for our listeners. There is a pathway to closure even after the transition, even after the death, because love never dies.
Who told you that?
Love that you did, Dionne. That's one of those "what would Dionne do" moments. Like she told me immediately, listen here, focus here, love never dies. And that was a lesson that I learned really early on. And it's so true. And you can speak to that love, from that love to that love, and receive your closure.
Yeah.
You won't hear their voice in the same way, but you will feel their presence.
I love that.
And you can receive that closure that you need. And it can happen every single time. I don't pray that anyone has those moments where they're sitting in that guilt, where they're sitting in that denial, where they're sitting in those really darker spaces of your grief. But understand there is a pathway through.
And as you listen to it, what you said, Yvette, it's that little thing. It's think about them. It's the song that comes on. It's the song that comes on that was your jam. And you like, all right.
It's the butterfly flying by. It's the dragon flying by. It's the feather that you find on the ground. It's all of it. It's the lights flickering. Like it's all of it. They will come through.
Yeah.
My wife's sister recently passed a couple of years ago, and it's still a very rough time. She was dealing with lupus psychosis. And it didn't end well for her. And we are blessed to have like a nice home with a backyard, and we'll come outside. And for months, I mean, literally for months, after we moved in, probably more than a year now, there's two birds that come to the house, like almost every morning.
That's what I'm talking
about. And we now can distinguish between which bird is which. And one in her mind, she's like, that's my sister, that's your brother. Because they keep coming back. It's literally, we come in the backyard and then the birds come.
Yes.
And we don't deny it. I don't question it. I accept it as that. It gives me, as you say, time to talk, right? To speak to and speak through some of these moments. And it's comforting. As you notice, I'm not crying because those are the moments that, as much as we've been able to share, being each other's comfort through this has brought a close bond even closer. Because we both realize that life is fleeting. And, we've got to work every day to be the best version of ourselves because our children need to see that. Our grandchildren must see that. And it's one of those things where we smile.
Aché.
Right? It's one of those things where we smile and we're like, It's okay.
Hmm.
It's okay. They haven't forgotten about us. We have not forgotten about them. And even if these birds aren't, they are, right? Like,
They are.
No, but they are. It isn't even if they aren't. No,
They are.
that's not in the equation. They
like
are.
in my mind, because again, I say that because if other people come in the morning and saw that, I don't know if they would accept that in that way because they haven't seen enough mornings
Mm.
of it, you know? And it's just,
MOR and MOUR. How about that?
That's what I was thinking.
I like that. I like
Hmm.
that.
Because
As a
we have,
rapper, you would.
Yes, I like that.
well, and even as you said, we are of a certain age, all of us, and you're the OG, and each of us in our own way. So when you said if you see enough mornings, MOR or MOUR, you
Mm.
learn something. There's a different level of grace, a different level of peace, because after you mourn, and I'm definitely sorry for the loss of your sister-in-law,
Thank you.
and I want to hear her name, but I want before we go to that,
Her
I
name's
want
Trinette.
to hear
Her name is Trinette.
Trinette.
Yes.
Okay. We're going to give her some egg. Aché, Trinette.
Yeah, we're gonna give her
Um, but before, I don't want to wrap up without giving you some more flowers because OG's still out here dropping albums. OG's still out here making music, letting them know that you still do what you do.
that you're
Yes.
still living. That pimp is still in you, and you're still living. You know,
Hmm.
you're living for the both of you. You're living for the legacy, you're living for the memory, and you're living for Bernard.
That's
And
right.
that
Throughout
is
my career,
such a beautiful thing.
people have taken direction from me. Throughout my career, people have taken inspiration from me. They've taken what I like to believe is some good game from me.
Mm.
And if I'm living in a way that properly sets me up to exist properly in this world, there's no reason why I shouldn't be sharing that. So, as I've gone through the grieving and I've gone through all of these things publicly, I've also showed myself because now I'm Bernard Freeman, right? They call me Bun B, but they know they're talking to Bernard because very few people are like, oh my God. I'm like, it's literally, I move around through the city. It's like, hey, OG, how you doing? What's going on, B? It's very communal. It's very personable with people because I'm there. I don't know if there's anything more I can expose of myself, right?
Mm,
Mhm.
So there's nothing left out. Everybody feels like they know everything that I've done, everything that I'm doing, and that they don't have to guess about what certain things are. And they know that I'm okay, and they know that I'm living a life that he would want to see me live. I know I'm
awesome.
growing in a way that he would have want to see me grow and becoming the man that he would always tell people I was already. Right. And I believe that I'm trying to live a life that's a great testimony to our friendship, to our brotherhood,
Aché.
That's right.
you
Yeah.
know.
So tell us about the song Everywhere We Go.
Everywhere we go, which is obviously being received amazingly. I fight against bringing him into the music sometimes because I don't want to seem exploitive.
Right. You know what? Wait a minute. For our listeners at home, you may not know this. Go listen to Everywhere We Go. Go get, just first of all, go get the
By
album.
Bun B featuring Pimp C. Let's
That's
talk
Yes.
right.
about it.
Because
That's
that's
right.
what we're talking about in Everywhere We Go. So you understand what we're talking about, that you can, the hearing of Pimp C's voice, you know.
It sounds so
Yeah.
alive. Like when you listen to it, it doesn't sound like something that was recorded over 18, 20 years ago. It sounds like he's alive in the moment. Some people are so alive during their time with us that it's very hard for people to accept that they're gone.
That
Yeah.
part.
It's
Yes.
very hard for them to accept that that person is gone. And when they hear his voice on this song, it sounds so natural to
Mm.
hear him and me together. Um, but it sounds like he's here. It doesn't sound like something that came from the past. I mean, the level of energy and life that he lived with every day is something that I think all of us could learn from. You know
Ashe.
what I'm saying? And make
Mm.
sure that you're living your fullest, best life all the time. And he was
Mhm.
definitely the guy to do that. But to have us on a record again It feels good. It really does. I was against it, and I'm always against it. Um, right now we're going back and forth about whether or not there should be a video. And
Oh.
and so my indifference to certain things, I'm like, I don't care, whatever, whatever. This one, I want to have a voice in it. I'm not sure if
Hmm.
I'm ready for that.
Hmm.
Like I get approached about the I can't think of what they call it. What Natalie Cole did with her father.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
so I get asked that all the time. Don't you want to do a Pimp C version of something like that? And I was like, I don't know if I'm ready to do no shit like that
Yeah.
publicly. Like, I
Keep it
gotta
real.
get to that.
Keep it real.
I have to get to that.
I have an opinion because as a marketing executive, right?
Right. No,
Who,
I get
who
it. I
who
I
has
get it.
also like experienced great grief. My son was also a musician, by the way. And I'll tell you, when you said the second you said that you there's a conversation about having a video, the video started playing in my head and I already immediately saw old footage of like from when y'all was young, taking on like one of those old school like video VHS recorders, and you know him just like in your neighborhood or y'all going in and out of the studio. Like I can see it, and
Well,
all the while, and then he's coming in and out as his, you know, as his hook is coming in and out. And I think that it would be the most beautiful tribute, the most beautiful memory to him and to his creativeness. You know, I say this all the time. Our listeners are very familiar with this. I love repeating this. Being creative brings you closer to God. It's a God essence. Creativity is a God essence. And so to be
and I'm
able
gonna
to
jump
see
in and
that.
say, you right, you right. Everything you said is right, but my heart here's Bun. My heart is with Bun when he's like, I don't know if I'm ready for that. All of that you said, and
We
my
ready for that though. Bun, I'm sorry. I don't mean to discount you in any way,
And
but
no,
we ready
and look,
for
I
that.
have to, and again, this becomes something I spoke to earlier about the fact of trying to keep this to myself,
Yes.
right? Trying to do it the way I want to do it.
Yeah.
At the same time, I almost denying other people a point of entry to this kind of thing, to be like, man, it feels good to see him on TV. You know what I'm saying? So, but my thing is, they're looking at more of like the cartoon animation
uh,
type of thing, and so
oh no,
I don't know.
I'm not
yeah,
feeling that. I'm not feeling
yeah,
that.
Yeah,
yeah.
that's my thing. I don't know if
Go
that's
find the
the
old
way I want it.
VHS tapes and pull that. Pull the
That's
That
old
and
VHS tapes.
we
That's what
don't
I
have
want to see.
enough. That's the
yeah,
thing. We were not present in the moment to think that we were affecting any real change or
mm,
making any real history. So we didn't see a real need to
yeah,
document it.
yeah,
Like we never felt we were on a certain trajectory, right?
mm,
Our journey was hills
right,
and valleys, and then a little hill, and then more
Mhm.
valleys. So I couldn't really see it like that. We got to where we wanted to go eventually,
right.
and you know, we got the number one Billboard 200 album. We got the Grammy nomination. So everything that he wanted for us, we achieved that. You know, but it's just
Mm.
certain things that I'm trying to figure out if I'm being too possessive of certain things
I
because of
mean,
my relationship.
that's a real question, and that's a real thing. And you give yourself time, give yourself grace. I would
Grace.
love to talk about
Give
that
yourself
more
grace.
in the grace,
Mm,
because when you said it, I could see the visual of it too, based on like Dream. If you saw Dream's a documentary about hip hop and all
mm,
the stuff in there, but
mm.
for even this, Evie reached out to me going, Desan was a musician and we need music for the podcast. So listeners, I don't know if you know this, but the music bed for this podcast was by my very own nephew, Yvette's son,
That's
Desan.
amazing.
And I
Right?
tell you, I had to go to my daughter-in-law, his widow, because she has all of his files. And I said, hey, can you look for some stuff? I said, don't look too deep. Don't go too, he'll send what's meant for us. He'll
Right.
send it. And it was extremely difficult for her. just
I'm sure.
going back and listening to the music. But, but the mission was bigger. And so she went in and she lived up to the task. And I'll tell you,
Good for her.
it's the perfect music bed, I feel, for this podcast. And everybody gets to listen to it coming in and out. And I kind of want to put a call out there to the folks, to the people, like whoever has like old footage of Pimp, send it in. Let's put the rally cry out there.
Thank you. That's lovely.
That's what's up. Yeah. I want to really give you the mic one more time, Bun, and then I want to put Aché on our loved ones before we close out.
Well,
I'm
sorry, go ahead.
No, because I'm often in this conversation, again, all of us being OGs, and on my desk, I don't have it here, on my desk, I have a picture of 9-year-old Dionne sitting there with a smile. So I'm like really curious where you are now, this version of you, this Bernard Freeman. What would you say to your younger self?
Give it time.
Mm.
Give it time. I was always, as my mom would say, antsy, right? Which was her way of saying anxious, right? But I was very adamant about proving myself in this world. And I didn't give myself enough credit along my journey. And I didn't allow myself grace. And I didn't allow enough people to give me their grace. A lot of people have sown into me. Let me be very clear. A lot of people have sown into me and helped me become the person that I became. But I think if I had been more open to certain things along my journey, I'm not going to say that I would have gotten further along in my journey, but I would have had a better understanding of what my true purpose was. And it took a while for me to figure that out. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if learning that earlier would have really changed anything about my journey, but because of that, I afford everyone an opportunity to speak to me, because I don't know if I'm denying someone's truth that could be beneficial. So I try to give everybody enough time to get their shit off. I don't know any other way to say it, right? Because
keep it real.
Some people don't really know how to interact with me, and they don't know if they're rubbing me the wrong way or offending me or something. So I try to let people, because I'm somewhat of a busy person, and the interactions can be as short or as long as I choose to allow them to be. And I can tell when certain people are approaching me with a certain look on their face that what they want to talk to me is deeper than music. It's deeper than a burger. And sometimes you got to allow these people to get this off. And in so many of those exchanges, it's because like I lost this person, I lost that. So one day means this to me. One day, this song when you made got me through this moment. And so because I know that some people have literally been waiting years, if not decades, to tell me what my music meant to them and where it came into play at a crucial point in their life. Then if I don't I got to allow everyone to just get their shit off so we can get to those moments. So I can understand how deep of a human connection we were able to make with our music and our presence in this world. And so, obviously I'm on the move a lot of times, but I can tell with certain people have a certain level of urgency that where they don't want to ask about a song. They don't want to ask about a video. They don't want to hear how I met Jay-Z, or they don't care what song got nominated for what. They want to talk about the human connection that the music and entertainment I have provided, gave them the opportunity to work through something.
Yes.
I remember when I talked to Idi Amin, when I first met Idi Amin from the Outlaws. He was saying that they were with Tupac, and Face, and Scarface had given Tupac Riding Dirty. And so a couple days after listening to it, he was like, "Hey, y'all need to listen to this. I don't know who these dudes are, but they talk like we talk. I think they're on what we on, and we need to bring them
That's
into the
dope.
fold. He said, and so they got the album, and they listen to the album. And they hear One Day, and it makes a, it's a good song. It's a very deep song. And he's like, within 24 hours, two of my cousins are dead. And the last thing my cousin gave me was this album and this song.
Wow.
He says, and not knowing as I'm listening to it that I'm going to live it tomorrow. I'm listening to it today, and we're going to live it tomorrow.
And that is the perfect. I am absolutely going to interrupt because that is the perfect closing for this, because we don't know what tomorrow holds.
That's right.
So you telling yourself, give it time, and giving people time. And we, Evie and I, are so thankful that you've given us so much of your time today.
Thank you guys for allowing me to be myself.
Yes, thank you for being yourself.
That's right.
So our moment of Aché, and even though you said her name already, what we do, listeners, if you're new for this episode, is that we call on our ancestors and we name them. Some listeners have been sending them into Instagram or personally to Evie and I. So the names the anniversaries that were given, the names that were given to me by two people. One was Armando Mandy, and the other one is Sherry Marie Holmes. So you please say your sister-in-law's name, because we know we've got Pimp
and
C,
anyone else that you want to breathe.
anyone else you want to name, but we can bring their energy into the space.
Absolutely. Ladrina January, for sure. Chad Lamont Butler, for sure. Hazel Zachary, my maternal grandmother. Alice Freeman, my paternal grandmother. Because these are the women I know for sure pray. These are the people that I know pray for me. I'm not saying anyone else did, but these were people that in my very young life I actually saw actively praying for me. I remember when I got married, my paternal grandmother was my only grandparent left. And I was like, I want to do a praise dance. I want to have praise dance done at my wedding. And my wife was like, why? I was like, because she'll get it. She'll get it. Like, just for her. Everyone else will understand everything else about this wedding, but she's older. There's going to be a lot of names that are being said. She doesn't know my groomsmen. She doesn't know your ladies in waiting and whatnot. I was like, I want to give her a praise dance. And I watched her, and of everything that happened on that day, she was just like, yes. She loved to see young people in praise of their Lord and Savior.
Give thanks.
You know what I'm saying? So
yes.
I'm glad that, I was able to give her that.
Yeah.
In that moment. There was one thing I knew that she would like. I don't know what her favorite, I never knew what her favorite food was, her favorite beverage or anything, but my father's side of the family are very, very spiritual and religious people. And she is the matriarch of all that. And she affected all that change in that part of my family. So
because she was, you are. And in that moment of that praise dance, you gave her Aché and you gave her flowers.
Absolutely.
And she felt
it. Yes. That was for her. And she knew that was for her. That's all I wanted. Because everything else was for my wife. Obviously, it was her wedding. Everything was for my wife. My tuxedo was terrible. My sleeves were short. My shirt sleeves were too long. I look at these pictures and I can't stand it. But I'm very proud because I married the woman I should have. Yes, and I gave my grandmother that. So out of everything else at the wedding, my wedding got crashed. We almost beat some people up, all kind of crazy stuff. Yeah, it was really weird, but
okay.
But the marriage is still going, right? Marriage is still here.
The marriage is way more important than the wedding. I'll tell you that much.
Yes.
That part. Right. How many years are we blessed with?
Marriage, I am 52, so that would be 22 years of marriage. I made a pledge to myself that I would find who I loved and marry them before I turned 30. My marriage, I got married on the 15th of March, and my birthday is the 19th of March. So I will never forget my anniversary, and all I have to do is count how old I am to know how many years I've been married.
Ashe.
Well, we're going to
I love
continue to
that.
pray for the longevity of your love and your marriage,
Yes,
and
thank you.
may you guys continue on this journey together. It's
Yes.
such
I'm so glad I did this, and I can't wait for people to see it. This is going to save somebody.
Ashe. Really,
This is
really.
gonna take somebody out of
yeah.
their funk. It's gonna
Mhm.
take someone out of this hole that they've dug themselves in,
Yeah.
and they're going
Yeah.
to they're going to see something that will help them climb out of it.
You've said so much, but in your call to change the grief narrative, what we've done, what you've done, and what we're telling everyone to do is continue to speak your pain, honor your people, and be a bridge, be a community. Evie's a bridge, you're a bridge, you're sharing, you're teaching, you're educating, and we're letting love build a bridge between us, our loved ones, and those that are here. So
I
thank you.
have Aché names, though I have to say my names
Oh,
because
we're talking.
my friends have been sending me many, many names. So I have to I put the call out and they are definitely answering. So I'm gonna just name the names because there's a lot of them. I'm not gonna give any background on who's asking. Okay, so I want to breathe Aché into Billy Baxter, Christine Baxter, Crystal Baxter, John Baxter, May Seiji, Thelma Burlack Boozer, James Boozer, Barbara Boozer Brown, Susan Patterson, Rodolfo Franklin, that's the great Clark Kent, DJ Clark Kent, Ice Pick J, Marcia Smith, Mildred Stallworth, all breathing Ashe into their memories, into their love that continues to infuse itself into our spirits. It's a spiritual exchange. Love is always the answer.
Man,
Bun,
I miss Clark.
thank you.
Man, I miss
I,
Clark.
I miss Clark too. Bun, I love you. Thank you. Thank you for all of your support. Thank you
Yvette,
for
Dionne,
believing in
God
us.
bless you both. You guys are really doing God's work. I
Ah,
mean, I
thank
don't know if
you.
anyone's really told you that, but this is
Mm,
God's work.
mm.
Walking his people through these journeys and through these moments. This is God's work that you're doing. And I'm so glad that I get to be a part of elevating your voices.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mm, mm. Whew. Oh.
Okay, guys, I'm Yvette Love Davila, co-host of Two Mothers, One Ashe. Thank you.
I'm Dionne C. Monsanto, co-host of Two Mothers, One Ashe. We love and appreciate you for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Next time.
We'd love for you to join the conversation with us on Instagram at that's the number 2, mothers, 1, the number 1, Ashe, pod. And produced and distributed by Merrick Studios.
Until next time, may love carry you through.